Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be answering a single question among the questions that were asked by our brothers, but I thought of answering this question as a single question, and the question is, where is the value of being a woman, or where is the value of a woman? So I'm going to answer this question in a more in a more in a biblical perspective. So I'm going to start by saying this: the society has played a very big role in pressing values to things or to people, like groups of people like women, men, and children. So, how the society places the value of people, it's based on their functions, and it's based on maybe the physical appearance. It's based on like how far you have achieved in life as a woman, where your status is, like your intellectual side of a woman, maybe the family background, because you come from a certain kind of family of high value than the other person who comes from a lower family, which is contrary from which is contrary with the word of God. The Bible says in Genesis, like, God created both men and women in his likeness and in his own image. So it means both women and women are of the same value before God. God does not see us like men and women as people of different value. Though we have different function, we perform different function, we function differently and we have different roles, but our the difference in roles and function doesn't give us difference in value. We all value the same. God loves us all. God died for us all. We all have the grace of God, like, equally. So how we appear, like the physical appearance of someone, like her family background, what she has achieved in life, shouldn't be the base of giving that person a value. So most of the time the society tends to give women value according to who they are or according to what they can do. Like maybe because a woman can give birth to children because she's a natural, because she can breastfeed, or because she's a mother, or because she's a sister, so she is of a certain value. So what happens if a woman cannot give birth? That does it mean that her value is less? Of which it's impossible, and of which it's very wrong. So the value, like, we can never separate the value of a woman from God. God created a woman, and she is precious as a man, and she is fearfully and wonderfully made just as a man. So her value can never be separated from who God is and from who God pictures her to be. So in spite of who that woman is, or in spite of how she appears, or in spite of how we appear as women, in spite of what we can and what we cannot do, it doesn't give us a less value than men, or it doesn't give us a certain kind of value or a certain kind of a measure to differentiate us as men. The only thing that differentiates us as men is roles. You see, a wife, like a husband, is not of high value than a wife just because he is the head of the family and the woman is a helper. They have different roles, but they're all of the same value. God sees us equally, all of us, men and women. So the value of being a woman is knowing that we are created in the image of God. Like, I'm valuable because God spent time creating me. God spent time creating women beautifully, and she designed them wonderfully. He did not waste his time to create women. So the value of being a woman comes from God, and that's on one side of how people places value to we as women. But the other side is we ourselves as women. Like, how do we picture ourselves? Like, how do we give ourselves value? Do we give ourselves value based on what we do? Like, do we give ourselves value because of what we have achieved? Do we give ourselves value based on the level we are at, maybe intellectually, or in any area of our lives? No way. The only thing that gives us value is in knowing who we are. And knowing who we are means that we need to know our identity, and the only true identity comes from God. Like, knowing that you are a daughter of God. God calls you his own. God saved you. God loves you. He chose you. He called you by your name as a woman. You have a purpose on earth to fulfill, just as a man has. So we need to know our value by knowing God. by knowing God and by spending time with God, he gives us a purpose. Because here's the thing: if I buy a new phone, like most of the time, if you buy a new phone or if you buy anything, like any device, most of the time in the package you always find like a manual. This manual explains how that device operates. This manual explains how like this device operates. So the it's like a guide on how to use that thing. And if that device does not perform its major function, then something is wrong. We either take it to these technicians or whatever, like to check it again, like something is wrong in its function. So yes, like our value is not based on our function, but our function is attached to our value. So we as women, we should understand that there is a purpose that is godly within us. And how are we supposed to know that? We're supposed to know that by spending time with God. Like we as women, we can perform different roles in the church, in the society. Like we have a purpose to fulfill, we have a purpose to serve in our communities, in our families, in our in the office you're in. Like there is a godly purpose for you there. So the only way to know that is going back to God. As I said, like the only way to understand how a device functions is going back to the person who created that device, and that's why they give us manual, because they know how it operates and how it functions. So it guides you on how to use it. So we as women, how are we going to be useful in our societies? How are we going to be useful in in our families? As a wife, how are you going to be useful in your house? All these things comes by asking God who created us, and asking God, like, what is my purpose? Like, what am I supposed to do in this situation? What am I supposed to do in this place that you have placed me at this moment? So we need to spend time with God to know, like, our purpose as women. We might have different purposes, and that is okay, but our difference in function and our difference in our purposes doesn't make us like doesn't give us different, like doesn't give us an equal values. We all value the same before God. God sees us the same, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a preacher, whether you're an usher in the church. Your difference in serving God or your difference in ministry doesn't give you an equal values. It gives you the same value, but with a different with different in purpose and in function. So the value of being a woman is like the value of being a woman is comes by knowing who you are, knowing your identity, knowing that you are created by God. Like the value of being a woman is not given by what people say. The value, like, let us, like, women, let us uplift one another. Let us uplift one another, let us encourage one another. Let us not be the source another woman feels of less value, but let us be the people who encourages them as sisters, as our sisters, and as the children of God. You see, like, as the children of God, not just because she's a mother we need to respect her. Even if she doesn't have children, she is still created by God. She is the daughter of God. So each individual woman has a purpose on this earth. More than just giving birth, more than just being a nurturers, we have a purpose. We serve in fulfilling the purpose of God, in fulfilling the kingdom of God on earth. So we get to know that when we go back unto God and spend time with God and ask God, like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me? How do you want me to serve in your kingdom? How do you want me to serve in the society? And whenever you are performing or you're doing like your function or your purpose, whenever you fulfill your purpose, then you become of like you become useful. Anything of value is useful. So when you get to know your purpose and when you serve your purpose, you become useful and you become valuable even in the society we're in. So we as women, let us not relax just saying that, yes, I'm loved by God, I'm chosen by God, my father is God, and I give birth to children, I play part in multiplying, and like increasing number of people in the world, but there is more than that. There is more purpose than that. There is more purpose than what you can think. And the only way to understand your purpose so that you can be useful to the family you're in, so that you can be useful to the society you're in, so that you can be useful in the local church you're in, you need to spend time with God and ask God, like, where is my purpose? Like, what's the purpose of God in my life? Like, what does God want me to do in this life and as a woman? So the value of being a woman comes by knowing your purpose. The value of being a woman comes by knowing your identity. And this is not only applied to women, but to all, even men as well. Even men as well. Knowing your purpose, knowing why you exist today, knowing all those kind of things gives you the value of who you are, and it makes you useful in wherever you are, like in the society or wherever you. Yeah, so thank you so much. That's the only single question that I really wanted to share with you out of the many questions that were asked. So yeah, let us honor women, but not only women. Let us honor and other people, like all people, men and women are equal before God. Let us give them equal respect, equal honor. Like, let us just love them equally, and let us like treat ourselves as well as women with dignity, with self-esteem, with self-control and everything. And trust me, all of us, we are fearfully and wonderfully made by God. In spite of you being a woman or you being a man, God sees us equal as people who he created in his own likeness and his own image. God did not waste his time to create you as a man. God did not waste his time to create you as a woman. So embrace who you are and thank God for who you are. So thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Until my next video, I love you so much, and you already know that I love you so much. So I'll see you. Bye.